What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. We have a bunch of stuff to get into today, including Nintendo and Microsoft, I guess, making it official, if you will, with their crossplay with Minecraft, with a very interesting looking trailer that we're going to go over, because there are some little spots in there that are telling. We're going to say that. We also got the NPDs in, and honestly, the game that took #1 might surprise you a little bit. First, though, let's start with some of the smaller things. Okami is coming to Nintendo Switch. We know about that. It's coming in the next couple months. It will be here, and you'll be able to buy it and play it. But the one problem is, well, in the US, it's all digital. There is no physical copy. The only physical copy is in Japan. But interestingly enough, a lot of places are now reporting that the Japanese version will have an English option, which means, of course, you can import it, switch it to English, and you can actually have a physical Okami cartridge, and it does come with a music CD and everything. It looks pretty cool. I actually ordered it myself over on PlayAsia. I think it was like $48 after shipping, so it is more expensive than the digital version, but I do know there's a lot of people who like collecting the physical games, so if you're doing that and that's your plan, you're going to have to do an import job from Japan for that, although some people have already done that with things like the Mega Man Legacy Collection, I believe, and even Bayonetta 1 and 2, which also had physical cartridges if you got them out of Japan. Also, Pocket Rumble finally got a date. I know it's hard to believe because we've been talking about this since, well, it was supposed to come out last March. The launch month of the Nintendo Switch. We even did a video kind of previewing it as like an indie showcase a long time ago, thinking it would be out, that month, and it never showed up. It went kind of missing for a while, and now it is finally coming out in the next 2 weeks. That's July 5th. It's the problem is now we already have fighters on the Switch. I think it would have really benefited from coming out in March if they could have got it out, because we didn't really have a ton of fighters then, right? Really any, I don't think. I think there were maybe a Neo Geo game or two in there, maybe, but not much now in terms of room, I would say. But they'll still release. People will still probably pick it up. Evan liked it, and I'm sure we'll check this version out as well and kind of compare it to the Steam version just for fun to see. But I don't know what took so long. Well, at least it's coming out, though, July 5th. Next up, let's talk about Minecraft Better Together update that came out. It does now make the Switch version updated to the Bedrock engine, and it now has crossplay with pretty much everything except for the PlayStation. In particular, it does have crossplay with the Xbox, and that's pretty cool. Obviously, we've seen some stuff have crossplay already, and they decided, hey, let's put a trailer out that, kind of rubs it in Sony's face, I guess, that they are playing together and, well, Sony's not. Here's the trailer you kind of see here, and you can kind of see it go through a bunch of different slides after cutting away from a person playing with their Xbox controller and their Switch, and it kind of goes through until it gets to the end where it pretty much says survive together. Sure, that is a call to Minecraft. I have a feeling it's also a call to the console wars that are going on right now, where Sony is so far out ahead and these two are, I guess, going to stick together to survive, is kind of what it feels like and what that seems to signify. Now, of course, this is the really exciting part, guys, because now that we have a full crossover here with games when it comes to Minecraft, you know what that means. Social media PR people are now going to communicate back and forth and in no way represent the people that you know of as figureheads at the top of their companies. Look at Nintendo calling out Microsoft to see if they can build something in Minecraft. Look at Microsoft saying, our bodies are ready, what are we building? Wait, does that mean? Nope. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Microsoft and Nintendo are working together with crossplay with Minecraft, as we kind of heard about for a while. It's a really weird reality to see, isn't it? Where we have co-branded commercials being done by Nintendo, by Microsoft, these two color schemes coming down, green and red, for green from Microsoft, red from Nintendo, and no blue to be seen anywhere, huh? Again, Sony doesn't have to do anything. They pretty much have the ability not to care because they're so far ahead. But, I mean, how much longer is this generation really going to last? Because eventually, Microsoft and Sony, not really Nintendo because they have their weird half-generation thing, but those two are going to start back at zero. And the reason Sony jumped so far ahead at the beginning of 2013 or end of 2013 when they had their consoles launch it's not going to be there anymore because Microsoft is more prosumer than Sony is now. So what happens when that comes out? And they're not against Microsoft that doesn't have, as many studios. They have a ton of studios now, and they're building right now for next generation. So Sony could be a little short-sighted here. They have time if they want to play around with it or change before next generation, but time's running out, and I'm going to be curious to see if Sony can still build this kind of a lead going into the next generation, because I'm feeling less confident for Sony right now with what Microsoft is doing. Also, before we move on, I'm very curious to hear from some people who don't want Sony to do crossplay. I'm very curious as to why. I can't really think of a good reason why you cannot at least have the option to do so. Sure, you can turn it off, but I don't really know why you wouldn't want it. It really doesn't make any sense to me to not want crossplay, but I am very curious to hear from somebody out there who does not want crossplay on their PlayStation and why exactly. Next up, let's take a look at the NPD rankings that came out. Those came out actually yesterday morning, so actually almost a full 24 hours ago they came out, and it does show a very interesting title at the top. Now, first, we're going to start off right away. The PlayStation 4 was the #1 selling console. If you take a look at individual SKUs, as in, there's a PS4 maybe that's hanging out that's a 500 gig, then you got a terabyte, then you got a Pro, then you got the Xbox One S, the 1 terabyte. If you start splitting them all up, it appears that the Switch, the neon colored one, was actually the best selling SKU overall, but the PlayStation 4 family was the best selling hardware for the month of May. But interestingly enough, let's take a look at the top 10, at least 10 or so. I'm going to show you the rest of them, but we're going to really look at the top 10 and take a look at what #1 is right here. And that's right, it's State of Decay. And this seems a little surprising to some people because that is on Game Pass, but it does not appear to be affecting the physical sales that are in stores. If a game comes out, not everyone's going to want to do a subscription service, right? They're just going to go out and buy it and just have it. And that seems to be what's happening here. God of War actually is now down to #2 because State of Decay dethroned it. Detroit Become Human actually is at #3. It is not above like God of War, even State of Decay 2 here. Far Cry 5, Don't Go Tropical Freeze. You're going to see this with Nintendo ones. These games, they pretty much say, the MPD does, they can't track eShop stuff. So this is all physical. They cannot track the digital copies. Grand Theft Auto 5 below that. Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. Then Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, which, by the way, that game has had a little bit of a resurgence. And then we have Mario Kart 8 and then NBA 2K18, but this is extremely impressive for State of Decay 2, and it should not be understated because this is a Game Pass game, but it does not seem to affect the sales in stores. Now, I am more curious as to how it will go, going forward, as Sea of Thieves did fall off pretty quickly. I'm sure State of Decay 2, by the way, it's a $30 game, so it's not even the full $60. That does also help it because this is usually based on revenue. So that means that a lot of State of Decay 2s sold. More than you'd think then. That's very interesting, isn't it? But here's the thing. I'm going to be curious to see how it tracks going forward into June, into July. Is this going to be another situation where it falls off very quickly like Sea of Thieves? Because games like Far Cry 5, God of War, they stick around as we see. Whereas something like Sea of Thieves just drops off very quickly. Now, the player base doesn't because you can just download the game, obviously, with Game Pass, but it's still something to keep an eye on with that. Now, overall, everything was pretty much up, and that's a good thing. It's good to see that, for the most part, games continue to grow, but we are going to get to a point where the games will not grow as much as we start to wind down this generation. That should be coming up probably in the next 4 to 5 months. Now, we're going to get through another Christmas, and that's going to boost, but I think after that is when you will really start to see that decline, and that is when you're going to start hearing about the next systems from companies like Microsoft. I am very, very confident that Microsoft is going to show up next E3 with something for their next system. Not necessarily to launch it in 2019, but to just have it ready and show it and get people kind of in the mood for new hardware, because that is how Microsoft can actually do something in the console space ahead of PlayStation, is actually start the next generation sooner than later, because then Sony will have to start back at zero. And that's where Microsoft, I think, is waiting to make their move. So great here for State of Decay 2 for being the #1 game. Great for the PlayStation for being the best overall family systems. And great for Nintendo for having the best single SKU with the neon-colored Switch. It seems like, I guess every company got something out of this month, and that's pretty good. Then our last bit of news, let's talk about Dragon Ball FighterZ because it finally has a release date, and yeah, it's right around the Japanese release date as well. In Japan, it's going to come out the 27th of September. It'll be out the next day. Pretty much everywhere else, US, everywhere else, it's going to be out the 28th. And what was really cool was I saw this, and I said, okay, that's cool. And then I looked down at the pre-order bonuses. Check this out. If you pre-order the game, you actually will have access to the Japanese version of Super Butoden. That was a Super Nintendo game. It was, I look back on it, it's a terrible game, but it has that nostalgic factor, because that's the first fighting game I remember even playing, and it was actually on an emulator back then because we didn't get those games here. And I've been thinking about it, is this the first, I guess you'd say, official release? It's gonna be in Japanese, but it's a fighting game. You don't have to do much with it, and it's not even one of the better ones. I liked Butoden 2. I actually liked a lot. That was actually really fun. I mean, you look back on it, it's not a fighting game to take seriously, but it's still pretty funny to do. If you get like the screen split and you pull off the right move, you'll go into a little cutscene and blast them with a key wave and everything. It was pretty cool to see that. You also will get Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. I don't know why I call them Super Saiyan Blue, because they're not. Anyway, Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan is how they have it in their press release. You'll have access to both Goku and Vegeta ahead of time when you do get the pre-order. That way you can, I guess, start right up with them. And then all the characters that are currently for sale on the other systems will also be for sale on the Switch version. They're not going to include anything, but they'll all be there ready to buy or download when you buy it. So pretty cool there. It's not too much longer or anything. It's in end of September, but man, September is packed. I would have liked to have seen them get this out in August. I think that would have given them a better chance, because a lot of games are already going to have been out when this one comes out. But honestly, if those fighting game fans want this, they'll just go get it. Anyway, so I guess not a big deal. Just look forward to the end of September and you'll be able to get Dragon Ball FighterZ on the Nintendo Switch. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for our News Wave today. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, guys. It really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave a bunch of comments down below about everything we talked about today. Whether you want to talk about the weird crossover stuff going on between Nintendo and Microsoft, do you think Sony is just being a little short-sighted? Do you think they're being hard-headed about it? Or maybe you are somebody who wants them to not do any cross-play stuff. Maybe you want them to stick in the Sony universe, and that's just the way it is because you don't want to deal with the Nintendo or the Microsoft people. You should just buy all the systems, but hey, that's that's not always in the cards for everyone. But I like the idea of cross-play. I think it's only prosumer, and if you're allowed to turn it off, what's the harm in it being there, right? If you can just turn off the option to cross-play and you're just playing with PlayStation people now, I don't see what the problem is there, but let me know what you guys think about that, MPDs, and Dragon Ball FighterZ. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a great weekend. Have some fun. I'll see you guys later on today. I think we're going to talk about Atari because they might have messed up, and I'll see you guys next time.